Hello and welcome to YouTube's most underproduced, poorly produced Amiga channel, Hold and Modify. This is Q, and today I am doing the ubiquitous quick WinUAE overview. I wanted to add this to my channel as I haven't done this video yet. But yeah, the first thing you want to do if you want to emulate an Amiga on your PC is grab WinUAE. And you can also use fs-uae on your Mac. They even have an ARM version. You're going to need ROM files so that you can actually start making Amigas. You can purchase those from Amiga Forever by buying Amiga Forever, or you can get them with the new Amiga OS 3.2 from Hyperion, which is what we're going to do because I purchased 3.2 and it has all the ROMs on it, and we're going to install 3.2. And so just make sure you do that. Be a good boy. Okay, so when you download WinUAE and you fire it up for the first time after installing it, you're going to get a splash screen and it's going to error out and say, I don't have any ROMs. So you're going to go to this button over here that says Path. And you're going to see where it says System ROMs. Make sure Scan Subfolders is checked if it's not. You need to tell it where your ROMs are at. So you click the little dingus and you go find your ROMs and you say Select Folder. When you do this, it's going to do that. And it's going to scan for your ROMs. It's going to let you know, I found a ton of stuff. You're like, yay. You should never have to do that again. Next, we're going to go to configurations. We are not going to use Quick Start. You can just, if you just want to fire up WinUAE and have some fun with like games, yeah, you can use Model 500 or 1200 and just pick that and then add some floppies and go have fun and play video games. But I'm going to show you how to set up and configure, in this case, an Amiga 3000, just a basic 68030 Amiga 3000. It's a good base configuration to start with. And maybe we'll add in a Picasso Rtg card. So we're going to go to configurations, and you can see I have some stuff here. But first we'll go to CPU, and this is under the hardware tab. And here's where you're going to tell it what kind of Amiga we're going to start building. So we're going to do a 68030. We're going to make it approximately A500, A1200, or cycle exact. This is basically a long way of saying, do you want it to be fake and as fast as possible, or do you want it to match more the real speed of the computer? Well, that's what we want here. Leave all this stuff off. We're gonna 24-bit addressing will kill the ability to use the 3000's onboard up to 16 megabytes of memory, fast memory. So we want to use that. Our particular 3000's 030 is going to have an MMU, and it's going to have a 6882 FPU. We're going to check them were compatible. And we're going to leave this unimplemented on because why not? It's on by default. Go to chipset. It's a full ECS. We're going to cycle exact, cycle DMA. I'm going to leave it NTSC off because my real Amiga 3000 for now is PAL. Wait for blitter is on. We're going to leave that. And chipset extra 3000. Collision level for sprites. Sprites and sprites versus playfield. You don't really need any more than that. You can check full if you want, if it makes you feel better, but you just don't really need it. Advanced chipset is set to compatibility, and that's what I suggest you do. ROM, this is where you're going to go find whatever ROM you want to use for the 3000, whether it's a 1.3, a 2.0, 2.1, 3.0, 3.1, 3.2. In this case, we're using the 3.2, and you don't really need to pay attention to anything else down here. RAM, it's going to be a 2 meg chip Amiga 3000, and then under here where it says advanced memory settings, you're going to go down to motherboard fast memory. And yeah, 16 megabytes, so it's a fully populated Amiga 3000. We're not doing any Z3 fast cards or anything like that. This is a kind of a bare bones 3000. Floppy drives, I like to have DF0, 1, and 2 on, and I do set them to turbo mode to help speed up the process. Now, display. Generally, the defaults are fine, except I do switch the native to windowed, not full screen. I want to be able to see my Amiga emulation as well as the rest of my PC. And in windowed mode, you can actually scale the Amiga emulation screen up and down as much as you like to the size you like, which is really flexible. However, if you want the full encapsulated Amiga experience, of course, you can set it to full screen and you'll get your full screen stuff. And then, yeah, you've got your centering options and scan line double to get rid of flicker, basically your flicker fixer, which the 3000 has. And of course, this is a PAL. Most of this stuff is the default. So you're going to look at the screen and it's not really going to be that much different from yours when you first install it. The important thing is I like to do the windowed. And then the sound has its default set pretty much the way you need it. All this stuff I just leave alone. You can turn on floppy disk sounds if you want. It is fun. It is cute. And then you pretty quickly realize how annoying it is, and you want to turn it off. The rest of this stuff, don't really need to mess with it. It's here for advanced fun stuff, but we don't really need it. So at this point, we have an Amiga 3000 built with a ROM. So we're going to go to configurations. We're going to type in Amiga 3000 underscore 030 underscore 3-2. And then I like to just select that and Control-C copy and then go Save As. Go to your configuration folder, paste it down, and click Save. And so now we have that saved, and that's what we're using. So what happens if you hit Start right now? Well, your Amiga emulator pops up, and boom, you got your 3.2 ROM kick screen, because we don't have a hard drive in here, and we don't have any floppy drives. So F12 will bring up the WinUAE configuration window, the window we were just in. Excuse me. And in here, we're going to have to do a couple things. Well, we need to add a hard drive. So I like to use hard files. You can use directories. If you use a directory, you will have easy access to copy files in and out of your Amiga hard drive, just from your PC. Makes a lot of sense. It really does. But I'm one of those weirdos that likes to keep my 3000's hard drive isolated as much as I can. And I don't like to have emulators add any sidecar files or XMP files or any weird descriptor files they might do to make the emulator run better if you use this hard drive or folder mode. So I tend to just stick to this virtual hard drive hard file. So you're going to click this button, and it's going to be device DH0. It's read-writable. It's got the lowest boot priority 0, so that we make sure it boots correctly. And the first thing you have to do is like, well, go pick the hard drive file. Yeah, but I don't have one yet. You have to create it. So there's a couple things you got to do here. You can leave all these alone. You don't need to touch any of this stuff. Again, I'm showing you the most basic, quickest way to get this up and running, so you can start having some Amiga fun virtually. Go down here. I'm going to make this a 2 gig partition. Now, one of the things, if you're familiar with Amiga, is you usually plug your Amiga in, you plug your hard drive in, you boot up, you do your install disk, and you go to HD Toolbox. And that's where you partition your Amiga hard drive. You can do that through emulation. There's a couple other things you got to do. It kind of gets into like a 201 class for Amiga emulation. This is a 101 class. So what I recommend, if you know you're going to want multiple partitions for your Amiga emulation, you just do it here. You skip HD Toolbox in Amiga OS completely. And like if you just want like a 500 meg Workbench partition and maybe a 1 gig storage partition and then a 500 megabyte, I don't know, partition, you can do that here. You can just create your partitions here and you give them the names DH0, DH1, DH2, and you're all set. When you boot up the emulator, you'll see your hard drives, your partitions, you're done. For this example, I am just going to have DH0, and it's going to be a 2 gig partition. And I am going to use the standard RDB OFS FFS. You can, of course, use PFSS and SFS, all these other good ones, or use your own. I'm just going to use the standard because Amiga OS 3.2's fast file system is pretty cool now. I like it. Hit create. We're going to go ahead and pick a file. There's one here already from a previous run through I did. I'm going to delete that. Well, goodbye. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it as A3000. But what I'm going to add here is the 030 underscore 3-2. And then we'll go ahead and click save. So that file has been created, and it automatically up here will pick it. You don't have to worry about that. It actually went up here and picked it. So yeah, DH0, it's readable, it's writable. Click OK. And now we have our hard drive. The next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of a cheat, for if you're trying to emulate an Amiga and be faithful. But this is an emulator, and this is one of the cool things you can do. We're going to add another hard drive, and we are going to do the directory option, because what I want to do here is add my DH2, and I'm going to call this Vault. And it's not going to be bootable, and it's not going to be writable. It's going to be readable, just not writable. And I'm going to select the directory, and basically this is going to be the directory where you keep all of your Amiga stuff on your PC or your server, wherever it is. I select this, so I have access to it at all times. And then I click OK, and now I have a DH2. Actually, let's make it DH1. Why not? I'm not going to have any other in there. So now I have access to my Amiga files on my real PC. But my Amiga cannot write to it or do anything damaging, like delete files. Because remember, you can be an Amiga OS, and if you enable full read-write access, you can delete and rename and move files from your Amiga that affect your real PC quite easily. So I suggest you keep the writable option off on that. So what's going to happen now? Well, first let's go to configuration and make sure that we have this selected. It is, and then click save. So now we've saved that hard drive in there. So what happens if I hit reset now with that hard drive added and no floppies in the good old floppy drive here? Let's hit reset. Remember, reset is the same as doing control Amiga. So in fact, yeah, the Amiga Kickstart is going, hey, you've got a hard drive, but I don't know what it is. So that's good, it sees it. So hit F12 to get back in here. And now we're going to go through the exciting procedure of installing Workbench, which you have all seen many times, I'm sure, and all done many times yourself. So I will go ahead and add those floppies, click reset. Okay, so here we are, and as you can see, there's our DH0, and we can go ahead and format that. And because it is a low-level Amiga-friendly drive, we don't have to do a full format. We can do a quick format. I like to do my long file names and fast file, Workbench, quick format. There we go. And here's our other hard drive we added, the Vault. That's what's in there already. Go into install and smash the buttons. And again, this will go pretty quickly because we're using turbo mode. We're going to install 3.2. Yep, it's detecting Workbench. Good. English. Good. Glow icons, yes, I like them. And we're going to be running Rtg, so I'll have plenty of memory to run everything. And this will zip along and do its thing. And you press F12 and just pick the next floppy. It's asking for disk doctor. And again, this goes pretty quick. And once you select the disk, by the way, so you click it here and you click OK, you don't have to click proceed in the Amiga. It'll automatically detect it. There it goes. And you're just going to go through this amazing process of picking these files one by one. And again, this is going to go virtually in this emulation much faster than it would with the a real Amiga. Now, also, I'm sure some of you who may be watching this who already know how to do this because you had nothing else to watch on YouTube. Yes, you can mount the Hyperion 3.2 CD-ROM ISO file into your virtual Amiga CD-ROM drive, and it installs 3.2 in a much more clever way. It'll automatically detect the floppies that it wants on the on the ISO for you, so that you don't have to keep doing what I'm doing, which is loading floppies in. It'll just rip in every time it needs the next floppy, the next ADF. It automatically just finds the next ADF and does it for you. That's if you use the again, the CD-ROM ISO version of the 3.2 install. I didn't do that here because adding the CD-ROM is another extra step. That, and honestly, that's probably about the only time, unless you're a big CD32 fan, that's probably the only time you're going to really use the CD-ROM in the Amiga emulation. I mean, usually you're going to be doing WHD load or just using the Amiga as is, copying files around. I mean, it's the CD-ROM support is awesome, and of course we need it, but it's not something I use often. In fact, I use it so little that I didn't even think to put in the 3.2 ISO and install OS 3.2 that way. So there you go, I guess. That's my reasoning for not using the ISO. But we're almost done here anyway. As I said, it goes pretty quick, especially in turbo mode. Turbo mode. Glow icons. Give me your glowy icons, please now. Glow me. Glow me very good. And it's letting us know that, yeah, you're running a 68030. You're running anything that's not a 6800 through 68020, so it's going to want to install some library files. Proceed. Yay. Yay! So what you can do is install those library files. Keep the install disk in, and then it's going to be asking you for the NuuBz disk. So I'm going to pop that in there. And what you can do is, well, first, you know, if you want to, just eject the disks and reboot. And you're going to get this error letting you know that you didn't install those library files, but simply just press return. And there you go. You got a Workbench install. Boom. Done. Yay. So let's install those library files. So you're going to put your install disk back in. you're going to put in the MMU disk. It'll ask you for it, but you can go ahead and do it already because you know it's going to ask you for it. Install. I guess the most useful part of this video is the beginning where I show you how to set up WinUAE because everyone else knows how to do what I'm doing here. You really don't even need to watch this part of the video. Okay, install the CPU support libraries. Yes. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, go there. We're going to say other because that's what this is, other. It's not any of these things. It's other. Proceed. And it says, take all those floppies out and reboot. Okay. Reboot. Hey, look, no errors. Yay! First thing we do, take off that backdrop. Next thing we do is go prefs. We go eye control. Be able to move things off the screen. Yes, absolutely. Save. Next thing I do, I want my chip memory back. So I go to blah, blah, blah. What does he do? Say it again. He goes to pattern. I say, pattern, workbench, pattern, Windows, pattern, save. There, good. So now I have, you know, my precious, now I can move this off and I can show you. Look, I have all my chip memory back. Yay. And screen mode, let's go ahead and do high-res laced. We're not going to test it. We're going to be brave. Save. Yes. Look at that. Nice flicker fixed Amiga 3000 video. No scan lines. And look, these are round. Isn't that great? I love it. So now we have our virtual Amiga 3000. It's all jammed, ready to go. Let's pop in another popular disk. How about our good old friend sysinfo in one? And let's put dopus in the other one. Bam! Again, the bulk of this video is to show you how to use WinUAE, and we've already done that. Well, how to set WinUAE up to build a 3000. And of course, using that knowledge, you can build other systems. Now I'm just messing around with Workbench 3.2 and showing you some other neat little things that you might want to do. So there's dopus. I'll just drag that in there. And for some reason, sysinfo didn't show up because it's looking for it on the C drive. That's not a thing. Okay, let's look for it in the right spot. Okay, there's sysinfo. Open it up and copy that over. Doink. And dopus. Now here's one of the cool things about OS 3.2. If you're new to it, you haven't run it yet. If you don't have an assignment, old Amiga will just flash the screen and go, missing assignment. I don't know what to do. And then it doesn't run the program. So with OS 3.2, if I go into dopus here and I try to run it, it's going to work. I don't know why that works. I should have had to have assigned it. Okay. Neat. All right. Well, anyway, so I've got that vault, which is my Windows share that we added. So there's all my Amiga stuff in here we have access to, which really makes it easy to get files back and forth so you can play and have fun on your virtual Amiga, which only costs you the price of Hyperion 3.2 or Amiga Forever and not thousands of dollars in hardware off of eBay. Please keep yourself fed and your family fed and your kids in school. Don't spend all that money on Amiga hardware if you really can't afford it. Just install WinUAE. Trust me, it's a lot of fun still, and you can really get into it, and you don't really feel like you're missing all that much, to be honest. So now let's run everyone's favorite program, sysinfo. And it's sitting here telling me I got the 030 with the 882, some stuff. Let's hit the speed button. And be amazed at this amazing 68030 3000, at least as WinUAE sees it. Computing those amazing mflops. Computer, compute my mflops. Computer, please compute my mflops. So, this is sysinfo version 4.4. And what I have noticed is, on occasion, it's funny because I just talked about how running virtual Amigas is a lot of fun if you can't afford real hardware, and it doesn't really take away from anything. And then this happens. Sysinfo 4.4 seems to not get along with WinUAE's emulation of the 68030 currently, and it can hang up on computing mflops. And if we go back to the old CPU thing, you can see we've got 68030 MMU. You can turn on this data cache emulation, I've done it before, but it seems to always turn itself off. Like you'll turn this on and it just turns itself off. And look, we are doing more compatible. Now I did have the unimplemented FPU instructions enabled, which is where the, you know what, maybe let's turn that off. Go up to configuration, make sure it's still selected, click save, and let's do a reset. Let's see if maybe that resolves some issues. I left sysinfo in the floppy drive, so let's go ahead and remove sysinfo from the floppy drive. Oops. Because it is a bootable disk, as you see right there. It just booted right into it. And I forgot to snapshot the backdrop there. Oops. So we'll go ahead and go back to sysinfo. Hit speed. Let's see if it's more happy this time. Is it more happy this time? No, it's not. So yeah, this is something to be aware of. At least with sysinfo. Now, if you run the original sysinfo that was, I think, last updated in 1992 or 96, I forget when it was, that might fare better. But this version of sysinfo has been recently modified to accommodate for all the new and exciting Amiga products that have been coming out. And I'm wondering if something in that code has gotten a little janky with either WinUAE's emulation of the 68030 or the MMU libs maybe causing a clash here or some kind of issue that freaks out sysinfo. So just be aware that that can happen. You're seeing it happen right here. It's not the end of the world unless whatever's causing sysinfo to hang calculating mflops affects any programs you might want to run, like 3D programs, like Lightwave 3D, or for example. I would need to test on that further. So it is interesting that that's consistently borking out there. If you go down to expansions, I'm not doing anything fancy. There's no, I'm not adding anything. It's just a really basic 3000 setup. So just be aware that you could run into things like this that happen. That's the nature of emulation. By the way, when you use real Amiga hardware, you're going to also run into weird crap. It might not be that, but it's going to be lots of other weird stuff. So in ways, the emulator is also emulating faithfully all of the weird crap you will encounter when using your Amiga. So let's go to WinUAE and fix its... there you go. See, now it's telling me. I don't know why that first time it didn't ask for it. It's asking me, hey, I don't know what this is. So you can assign it temporarily right now and just say, yeah, man, it's WinUAE, and it's in my Workbench, and it's in this folder called WinUAE. Hit OK. And then now WinUAE will run. You can permanently address that just by going to, of course, your system shell, editing your S, user, startup, and go down here and just simply say assign WinUAE to DH0 WinUAE. Escape, X, enter. And that way in the next reboot, it'll be assigned and it won't ask you for that. But what I was going to do here is, I was going to go to my DH1, and then over here on DH0, we're going to create a folder called installs. And then over in my massive vault, we've got system installs. We've got 3000, and I think this is the LHA unknown command. Well, I guess we gotta resolve that issue. Yeah, so let's go to the old command folder locally here, C, and let's go back to my various Amiga files on my local. This is why mapping this stuff is really wise. So what is LHA files? Oh, it's actual LHA files. And then LHA should just be, So you've got your 68020 or 68040 version of it. So we'll go ahead and go LHA. We'll copy over the 68020 version because I don't have a 68040. I mean, I could easily set this to 68040 in the emulation parameters and magically have a 68040 Amiga instead of a 68030 Amiga. You know what? Because we're having that issue with, you know what? Let's do that. Instead of doing let's change this pace of this. Plus, it gives you more experience with WinUAE. Let's delete that. Let's copy over the 68040 version of that library, the LHA. And let's click on rename. Just make it LHA. And then let's quit. And go up, bring up the WinUAE properties, go to CPU, let's type 68040. And that's all we're going to change. Configuration, we're going to change this to 040, save as. We'll click the same file name, but then go up here and change it to 040, save. Let's do a reset. Let's see if this behaves any differently. Workbench, sysinfo, the text, the 040, yep. Speed. And it worked. So the 68040 emulation seems to be working, whereas the 68030 emulation wasn't. So there you go. Weird though is that something still seems off, doesn't it? You can see that pretty quickly here, can't you? I picked 68040. Here's a 25 megahertz 68040 Amiga 4000. It's reading way up here. My 68040 3000 is reading way down here. So, and it says 28 megahertz over here. So something's going on with sysinfo version 4.4 and at least WinUAE. Something's going on. I don't know what's going on. Something's going on. And this program has always been notorious for being really wonky, but this is really divergent. I have not really seen it ever be this divergent before. So I don't know how much we should trust what's going on here. That is weird. In fact, we'll go over to show config. I mean, granted, we're using 68040 with a native Amiga 3000 motherboard fast memory. I mean, that's not ideal. I actually owned a 68040 accelerator for the Amiga 3000 that did not have its own memory. It used the onboard Amiga fast memory. So it made it one of the slower 040s. We can change that here, of course, by going to, where's that option at? Oh yeah, it's under RAM. Actually, no. Where is it at? Because if we go RAM, yeah, my processor slot fast memory. So this tells it now I have a 68040 that has an onboard 64 megs of RAM. So we'll go ahead and say configuration, save, reset. See, I'm showing you more stuff in WinUAE. You're also seeing the troubleshooting process happen in real time. So now, yeah, there we go. Matter of fact, this matches my real Amiga 3000 exactly, because that's what I have. I have a 68060 Amiga 3000 with 64 megs of onboard memory. So now that's there. Let's see if that affects anything. Click the speed button again. Nope. Yeah, something's still really weird here. Something wonky. If anybody has an idea what's going on, you can leave a message in the comments. But I don't know if this is a WinUAE sysinfo 4.4 issue, or if I use an older version of sysinfo, if I wouldn't have this problem. If it's a NuuBz issue, I don't know. Whatever though, at least it's not locking up and crashing. But it's definitely not reporting the speeds, because it's not right. In fact, I'm slower than a 68030 at 25 megahertz according to this. So that's something really bizarre going on there. I don't know. Strange. But anyway, the whole point was to get NuuBz running. Now watch, see, I won't ask for the assign because there it is. To go back to the vault and go over here to DH0 installs, go to system installs, 3000, Picasso 96, and let's arc extract that. And we're doing this because we're going to add a Picasso card to this emulation. Okay. Did it. It's done. Amazing. So now we go F12. And actually, you know what? Let's install it first. We're going to do Amiga Y, write Amiga Y to clean this up. And then do a snapshot all. And we will go to installs. I'll change the Dopus icon to match these other icons as well, because I know it does look a little junky there. Picasso 96 install, set up. First install. And we are using the, what are we using? We're using the UAE, which isn't showing up here. Which is not showing up here. Why is it not showing up here? So this is, by the way, this Picasso install, this is the newest one. This is the one you pay for, which I paid for. There's a free one on AmiNet, and that one always just showed UAE. So let's abort and hit F12. Maybe it's because I haven't actually added the board yet. So we're going to add in because I have the ROM for it, I'm going to tell it I have a 03 Picasso 4 meg. Yep, that's me. And that's all I'm going to do there. Hit reset. And if I went too fast for you there, let's come back. F12. I went down to RTG board, and then I went to RTG graphics card. I went to board, and because, again, remember all those ROMs you got when you bought your Hyperion 3.2 or your Amiga Forever? Well, one of the ROMs, I have a bunch of other ROMs, because all of the people have been dumping ROMs from Amiga expansion cards for years, and you can find them on various Amiga sites, maybe even on the Facebook site. I mean, these companies are long gone, and I don't think there's any rights issues here, but this is just the ROM. But having this ROM, the ROM file exposes these various expansion cards. So you can see just from this list right here, you can see that I have ROMs for quite a few types of cards, and one of them is the Picasso 403. So I picked that ROM, and it gives me access to it. But you don't have to do it that way. In fact, I'm trying to remember how you do this. If you don't have an RTG board, I thought there was a way. Yeah, you can just, so WinUAE has its own built-in virtual RTG cards, and here they are right there. You got the 02 version and the 03 version. So if you pick one of those, because you don't have these ROM files, you're not screwed. You don't have to have these ROM files. You can still do RTG with WinUAE. You just use the UAE version of it. You have a 02 version and a 03 version of it. And then when you install Picasso P96 drivers, you'll see these show up as an option. So for now, I'm using a real, quote-unquote, real Picasso 4. So when I run I hope that made sense, by the way. You can always run the video back and see what I said, right? Again and again until it makes sense. So now we're going to go ahead and run this. Click proceed, first install, intermediate, boom. Proceed, yes, yes, no, I don't want to read your manual. And look, it default, so now it detected it. It actually knows I have a Picasso 4. So it detected the Picasso 4, it checks it for me. I click proceed. And I'm just going to say, yeah, well, do whatever you want to do, man. So 31 kilohertz is the safest mode to do. Obviously, modern monitors can go up to like 480 hertz now or whatever. I don't know. On my real Amiga 3000, I've actually got it bumped up to, I think, 48 or 38, I believe, to help get rid of jail bars. But we're just going to leave it at the default of 31. If you want the application drivers, I've had mixed results using the drivers that this newest version comes with. But go ahead and install them anyway. It's not going to use them. It just puts them on the hard drive, so that you can use them with other programs you may install. This thing I've never understood what this means, so I always just say yes, because I'm that kind of person. Yep. Boom. It's like, okay, enjoy. It's like, enjoy. I'm enjoying. And then one thing I want to check, devs, monitors, and there you can see it added the Picasso. So now we're going to reboot. We're going to reboot. There it is. And when we go to prefs, screen mode, we should have Picasso modes. Look at that. Yay, Picasso modes. And let's pick 800 by 624 bit. Yes, use, just to be sure. And there you go. Look at that. Yay. Nice, clean 800 by 600. Yay. Click save there. So there you now have your Picasso, and you can have beautiful 24-bit graphics. So if you install other programs like Art Department or Lightwave, in fact, if you install Lightwave, you can use the Picasso frame buffer and see beautiful 24-bit images from Lightwave, which you may or may not want. I don't know. Let's go over here to DH1. I could just end the video right now, but let's go to System. What am I doing? System Backups. Prod. Here's one from the 20th. 3D. Oh yeah, let's copy this toaster file over. So what I'm doing is I'm copying my Lightwave 3D install over to this virtualized Amiga with its, well, at least according to sysinfo, it's weirdly slow 68040. I'm doing this so that you can see the Picasso screen buffer in action. And we'll go ahead and just fast forward through this. Okay, so we're back, and I've gotten the toaster copied over and ran Lightwave. And we'll go ahead and just click on the record. This probably was set to 6-bit ham, if I recall, and bump it up to Picasso 2. I'm just going to go ahead and go to effects and turn on the, already did, turn on the gradient backdrop, hit continue, and just press F9. And here we'll get a beautiful 24-bit Picasso gradient render sky thing, showing off your amazing virtual Picasso. Look at that. Nice, smooth, beautiful gradient. And you didn't have to spend $700 on a Picasso 4 card off of eBay. Isn't that great? Because it wouldn't look any different. Yay. Look how fast everything is. Yay. Okay, so that's it. That wraps up this ridiculously long video. You've seen the ins and the outs of configuring WinUAE with Amiga OS 3.2, actually. I mean, I showed you how to set up the 3000 initially, get it going, and then we ran into some weirdness with CPU emulation or sysinfo just losing its mind. I can't really confirm that without making this video even longer. And I showed you some basic Workbench 3.2 stuff you can do. And I will say, you know, I have a whole, as you know, my channel, I have all my real Amigas, and I love them to death. But I have to tell you that emulation, I'm really glad it's here, because if at any point bad times came upon me and I had to do that dreaded thing we all hate, or we're financially in ruin, you know, we have to sell our Amigas. It's like you don't have to lose it. You've got it virtually. You can always use WinUAE or fs-uae on the Macs and have access to these wonderful Amigas. So be very thankful for that we have such a robust emulation society out there, a bunch of people out there keeping it going, along with people making new hardware and software. It's great. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in any way. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I'll try and see if I can help out. Or someone smarter than me will reply with a proper answer. Of course, I'll leave the Facebook Amiga group in the description for this video. That group is mostly about real Amiga hardware. They get a little fussy if you start asking questions about emulation. But you might be able to get away with a couple of questions in that group about emulation before they shuffle you off to the WinUAE Facebook group or something. But anyway, I'll put that down there. So if you have any other questions, you can maybe get answers there. Thank you again.